continuing story of Peyton Place. Starring Dorothy Malone as Constance Mackenzie, Ed Nelson as Michael Rossi, Ryan O'Neill as Rodney Harrington, Barbara Parkins as Betty Anderson, Tim O'Connor as Elliot Carson, Christopher Connolly as Norman Harrington, Patricia Morrow as Rita Harrington, James Douglas as Stephen Cord.
The Reverend Mr. Tom Winter has lived and worked in Peyton Place for the past year, totally involved with the personal problems of any and all who come to him. Today, Tom Winter tried unsuccessfully to help young Rita Harrington gain some understanding of her recent depression. The visit was cut short by something he saw going on in the square. A young woman being photographed in the pillory that the Puritan fathers used to punish those who broke the law or the faith. The woman holds a special attraction for Tom Winter. She is his wife.
Hi, Connie. Oh, hello, Susan. Look, I found the history of Peyton Place. Oh, yeah? Yes, this is a chapter on the first Founders' Day festival. You know how the colonists used to beat drums to get people to the town meetings? Mm-hmm. Well, it seems that Samuel Peyton insisted on 50 drummers marching behind him in a parade around the square.
Oh, the Honorable Samuel Peyton and the other dignitaries descended the stone steps from the pillared portico of the town meeting hall and approached their mounts. At a signal from Mr. Peyton, they swung into their saddles, and the drum corps struck up Old Dan Tucker. The crash and roar of the drums so startled the horses that they stampeded, and the dignitaries were promptly dismounted.
Oh, that's wonderful. Can't you just see it all? Total chaos.
Well, I just stopped by to tell you that putting you in charge of the displays and concessions was a stroke of genius.
Elliot thought so, too. Of course, it was his idea.
No wonder he's chairman of the organizing committee.
Co-chairman. Oh, yes. You can imagine how happy he was that you're going to be helping him.
I hope so. Well, it's time for me to run.
You stop overdoing it. Elliot said you couldn't even make the meeting. You were so busy yesterday.
Oh, well, I had to go down to New York and visit my father. I wanted to put the squeeze on him for our fundraising campaign. Unfortunately, I had to spend the night because it was dark by the time he got in off the golf course. But anyway, he gave me a check, a blank check to fill out.
Mike Rossi may have that children's wing long before he bargained for it. And he'll have you to thank for it.
You know, Connie, I don't think your friend Mike Rossi really approves of me.
Now, how could he disapprove? After all, you wave a magic wand around here. You know, I've been trying to get some things off the ground, too. I've started some sketches.
Good. Bring them around when you're finished.
All right, maybe we can get Tom's opinion, too, huh?
If he can spare the time.
You know, I envy you. You're quite a couple. He must be very proud of you.
I try to live up to expectations.
How could you ask such horrible questions? Question. When you arrived at the warehouse, was Joe Chernak there? Answer, yes. Question. And Joe and his friends were drinking? Answer, yes. Question. Were they teamed up in couples? Answer, yes. You had to do it this way, huh? Look at me!
Oh, keep reading a little longer, Eddie.
Question. What happened after you arrived at the warehouse? Answer. I was introduced to Joe. Now, wasn't that enough? Did you have to go on? Did you have to spell it out? My daughter must have been in tears.
But keep reading.
Question. You had to be turned over to Joe Chernak. Those were the rules. Joe Chernak's rules. A new girl had to be turned over to him. Isn't that right? Answer. Yes. Yes, it's true. Cord, I could... Question. What did they make you do, Rita? Answer. It was the rule. It was their rule. I had to do whatever Joe told me to do. And note, at this point, witness began to cry. Well, of course she began to cry. She was what? 18 years old, sitting up there on the witness stand, opening up her life for the whole world to see? Question. And then you belong to Joe Chernak, is that right? Question, is that right? Answer, yes, yes, yes. Then I belong to him. You... You went out of your way to push my daughter into the mud.
I was defending Rodney against a charge of murdering Joe Chernak. I had to open up the character of Joe Chernak.
The very fact that you destroyed Rita's self-respect, that was just too bad, huh?
Rita volunteered to take the stand to help Rodney, and she did help him.
She's still paying for what happened in that warehouse, what you made her admit in public.
Oh, I can't believe that. I've seen Rita. She seems to be handling her life remarkably.
Oh, really? Well, let me tell you something. Everything that happened to her is coming back. And it's coming back to her like it all happened yesterday.
Well, you've got Dr. Rossi taking care of her, haven't you?
Yes, but he's part of the problem. That is, his brother Joe is the problem. The first time that Rita met Joe Rossi, she got him mixed up with Joe Chernak. It's driving her up the wall. Now, I don't care whose brother he is. Joe Rossi has got to get lost.
Now, look, Eddie, I understand your feelings.
He's leaving town. He's shoving off and never coming back.
Eddie, I understand your feelings.
And never coming back.
But you've got to slow down for a moment. Now, you've got to stop and think.
Oh, really? About what?
The consequences.
For who?
Do you want to help your daughter now that you've read this? Then leave Joe Rossi alone.
Oh, anything that you say, Counselor.
Oh, save it, Eddie. Save the sarcasm. There's nothing you can say I haven't said myself.
Joe Rossi is going to leave town.
Now, you're building a case, aren't you?
Maybe.
You're building a case and you want to hurt him. Now, look, so Rita does see Joe Chernak and Joe Rossi. So did you, Eddie. You might have been able to keep Chernak away from Rita if you'd been around, but you weren't around. And you can't make up for that now by pushing this other Joe around. Now, you've missed your time, my friend.
I can't afford your advice, Mr. Cord. And I don't want your advice.
I got a message you wanted to see me.
You look beat.
I earned my money today.
Congratulations.
Look, Eddie, I gotta get home.
I read the transcript.
Good for you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you always make yourself so clear.
I went over to Stephen Cord's office. He let me read the transcript of Rod's trial. Why did you marry her, Norman?
What?
Why did you marry her?
My marriage is my business, Eddie.
Norman? I read every word that she said on the stand. The way she was turned over to Joe Chernak. That was quite a story. Now, my point is, what's your problem, kid? You were in the courtroom, weren't you?
Yeah, I was there.
You heard what she said, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well?
Well, what?
Why did you marry her?
Oh, what happened to you?
Tell me something. Why would a kid with a head on his shoulders rush her from the courtroom to a justice of the peace?
Oh, what's wrong with you? Why are you tearing down your own daughter? I loved her. That's why I married her. Can't you understand that? Because I loved her.
Yeah?
Yeah. What do you think I was doing? Looking for kicks? Taking a girl who'd been dragged through the mud and marrying her on some kind of a dare? Well, you weren't there, Eddie. You didn't see her face. She was white. Completely white, and she was drained. She looked like Stephen Cord had been hitting her with his fists. I wanted to kill him. I really did. I wanted to get her out of that courthouse. Then I wanted to kill the whole town. I wanted to help her. I wanted to make up to her for all that Stephen Cord and Joe Chernak and this whole town did to her. I wasn't going to let anybody tear her apart again. I wanted to stand up and be counted.
I saw all of her words in the transcript. Norman, I just had to hear you say that you loved her.
Teach me to leave my keys in the ignition.
I kept looking for the highway patrol.
I thought about it.
What's the good of a joyride if nobody's chasing?
You know what you could get for that little caper?
No time out for good conduct?
Didn't you hear me yell at you when you took off?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what if I'd have needed the car?
Did you?
No.
Well, then you really didn't miss it, did you?
I missed you.
That's good.
What are you doing?
You'll see.
Don't tell me you took a drive down the coast.
Right.
And you found something, right?
Right.
The cave where Jean Lafitte buried his booty?
Wrong.
Oh, come on, Betty, you can trust me. Let me have a look at the map.
It's not a map. But it's not finished.
What would it be if it were?
A barn.
A barn?
Not just a barn.
Of course, this must be a silo over here, right?
Well, it's beautiful. Someone started to convert it into a house.
And you'd like to finish the project?
We could.
Where is it?
Right at the end of Fletcher's Meadow. The trees all along one side, and you can see across the valley for miles and miles on the other.
Awfully long way out, isn't it?
About 35 miles.
What took you out so far, Betty?
I don't know. Just felt like driving. Oh, Rod, it's perfect. I got out and poked around, and it doesn't look as if anybody's been there for a couple of years. Rod, we could get it for a song.
Betty.
We can work on it together, build it together.
It's not a barn. It's a bridge. And I don't like to think that we need it. Now, you took off this afternoon. You didn't want to talk to me, see me, tell me where you were going.
I didn't want to talk to anybody.
Especially me.
Rod.
But you do now. See, now we have something we can talk about. That little blueprint for togetherness.
Rod, I'm trying to make a fresh start. Can't you try too?
It's the trying that bothers me. The need to try. Well, we could go ahead and buy that property. With what, I don't know. And we could go to work on it, and I guess we'd have something to talk about until we'd furnished every room, painted it, carpeted, draped. But what happens after we finish work on the house? We still have to work at making a home?
I'm sorry, Rod. Somehow it didn't seem like work to me.